Welcome to Health Coach for Women. Intentional living for more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. Join Marsha as she shares her own personal wellness journey, as well as stories from our guests that will enlighten and inspire you to move towards better health and happiness. Now, here's your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Health Coach for Women. Today, I'd like to talk to you about the benefits of fasting. Okay, so today I want to discuss fasting. Why do people fast? First of all, let's talk about what is fasting. So fasting is basically just a person choosing to refrain from food, eating and drinking, for a set period of time. So not having any food or drinks for a set period of time. But there's different types of fasting. Now, looking this up, I discovered that there's various types of fasting, right? And so the one that I'm familiar with and that I've heard of before is fasting such as religious fasting, such as Ramadan, the month of Ramadan. I fast during the month of Ramadan for 30 days. And the Christians also fast. I believe it's on, is it Good Friday? But don't quote me, I don't remember. So I apologize. But there's religious fasting as well. And they also fast for a period of time. And I just forget when. But there's also these other types of fasting that I discovered from looking up this topic. There's intermittent fasting, right? But there's various types, again, that I did not know of. So I have my notes here because I was not aware of all of these types of fasting. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that and tell you and go over it. You may know more than me on this topic because I did not know that there was all these there's actually different various names for these types of fasting. So let me go ahead and look at it for you here. So they have here, and this is at Everyday Health, and also I found something on healthline.com. So they have something called the 16-18 diet. It's a form of intermittent fasting. It says to help you lose weight. Not sure what this is. Let me look it up here, but let me go here. Okay, so this fasting involves fasting every day for about 16 hours. And I'm going to go into the different ones, each one, but this one here is the 16-18. So it says here is fasting for every day for about 16 hours and restricting your daily eating window to approximately 8 hours. That's what it says. And it says here, this method is known as the Lean Gains Protocol, and it was popularized by a fitness expert named Martin Berkhan. Okay, so it's basically saying the same thing with what I said. It's not eating for a period of time after dinner and skipping breakfast, right? So that's one form of fasting. And there's another one called the 5-2 fasting. Now, the 5-2 fasting, what it says here is that out of 5 days a week, you eat your regular meals. But out of 7 days a week, 5 days a week, you would eat your regular meals, right? And so 2 days out of those weeks, you would go ahead, you would just have a 500 to 600 calorie meal. That's what it says here. So let me see if I can go into more detail on that 5-2 fasting. So here it is. All right. So it says this is one of the most popular intermittent fasting methods. So it says here now, the idea is to eat normally for 5 days, as I mentioned, and the other two are 500 to 600 calorie a day for women and men. This is what it's saying. And it says the idea is that short bouts of fasting keeps you compliant should you be hungry on a fast day. Let's see what else. 5-2 approach may work for them over calorie cutting across the entire week. So this is a type of different fasting. Now there's other type of fasting that there's different names. Now there's a time when before, when I just did my own fasting, where I did just a liquid fast. I had no food for 3 days, and all I did was drink water and Gatorade for 3 days. Was it beneficial to me? I'm sure it was, because I gained some willpower and discipline. And so that's one of the benefits of fasting, right? So not only is it that you're doing something, again, there's different reasons, but not only are you doing something to possibly do something for your health, there's a mental component to that as well, because you have to have that willpower, right? You have to have that willpower to do in order to fast. So now the reasons, I want to go into the reasons before. I kept some notes here. So people fast for different reasons, such as spirituality, right? To increase their connection to the Creator. That's one way, right? And something to build. And another way would be, also that would fall into the category of spirituality, to have a better sense of connection with themselves, right? And it's happening to their willpower, their potential of what they can do. And some people, that's why some people fast for that, and also to gain clarity. So it all falls under the umbrella of spirituality. And so when you look at for faith, people, women of faith, or people of faith, there's different reasons for doing that, which is, again, for the spirituality of the connection with the higher power, source, creator, God, whatever. And so as Muslims, I can only speak from the things that I know, that I experience. For Muslims, when we fast, it's a way of remembering the less fortunate. And this is what it is for us, and for those who are Muslim. It is a way to remember those less fortunate than us, and to practice that gratitude, as well as remembering your Creator. And what it does is it builds that discipline. It builds self-control to help you to stay in control of yourself. And so for me, doing I know when I first did it, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know, will I be able to do this? This is difficult. And so just to give you some detail on that, is that you would consume your meal in the morning before dawn, and then you don't eat again until the evening time. And so it can vary by the time schedule, that you would eat. So you would break your fast around dawn, right? So around dawn. And so the whole period you go without food and without water. And some might find it challenging, some might find it difficult, but you would be amazed at of what you can do. And you'll be amazed at what you can do. And so it really develops that discipline, that willpower, self-control, and also just to really reflect and remember the things that you have, and being grateful. And that's what I love about the fasting for me. That's what I love. And this is for 30 days straight. You definitely can gain a lot and learn a lot from doing the fasting for 30 days. There's also people who are not Muslim, and they will fast during that time as well, because of the spiritual strengthening things that it gives you. And that's a personal choice, right? And so that's one way of fasting. And I mentioned the 5-2 fasting, right? Just a recap on that. The 5-2 fasting, which is that fasting of eat what you want for 5 days, and then for 2 days out of the 7 days, and out of the 2 days, you do a 500, 600 calorie diet. And also that 16-18 that I mentioned to you before. I'm sorry, that's my note papers rustling there. Sorry about that. Okay, and so with that, I went over that with you again. So that's a 16-hour period. So for the most part, they're depending on the time and when you choose to fast, it can be a challenge. And of course, if you have health conditions, if you're pregnant, you definitely don't want to do a fast, okay? You don't want to do that. But fasting has been, as far as research and studies has been concerned, that it actually can help those who have diabetes and lower their blood sugar, as well as all the overall benefits that it gives you as far as doing a reset on the body, and the body's detoxifying. So that's what's happening. So you have that period of not eating. So the body gets to really rest and filter out all those things that you're eating throughout the day and get to reset itself. And so, and that's what it's doing. It's removing toxins from the body, heavy metals and things like that. Now, I wanted to go over a different type of fast. And let me see if I can, now there's a time restricted fast. That one, I'm not sure what that one is, because like I said, I didn't know that they have all these variations of fasting. I actually watched on YouTube that a woman fasted. She basically did what I did, but she did it for 7 days, and all she had was water. And she was able to lose her, she did all her measurements and things like that, and she was able to lose some fat, but she also gained muscle in the process. And she did it for 7 days straight. So for me, I did it for 3 days. 3 days was enough. And yeah, with no food at all. And it's really not as hard as you think. I think once you really put your mind to doing something, you will be amazed at the things that you could achieve and accomplish within that goal that you set for yourself that you can accomplish. So they also have an overnight fast. So the overnight fast is basically your last meal that you may eat at dinner time, let's say 7 or 8 o'clock, or 6, 7, or 8 o'clock. That's your last meal. And then you have nothing for 24 hours until the next day. And then you would consume your meal too. So that's another type of fast, that overnight fasting. And that has happened to me before, where I've eaten something the night before, and the next day, for whatever reason, maybe I was running around doing something, or I just didn't feel hungry. And then my day was so productive, I would say. I don't want to say busy, but I was running around taking care of things, and then you don't find yourself eating till maybe sometime the next day. I don't know if anybody has ever experienced that, but I know that I have. And sometimes you just don't feel hungry. Sometimes you're just not hungry. We get into the habit of eating because it's part of the routine, eating 3 meals a day. But your body really doesn't require all of that. So, I mean, again, once you really get to really know and understand your body, you really don't require that much. But what you do require is quality content, nutrient-rich foods. That's what's important. And staying hydrated with fluids. I would say mostly to consume water, right? Less sugary products, no soda, of course, no soda. And I actually heard a study on a diet soda that is worse than actual soda. But anyway, just to share that, and it's bad for diabetics. So that's what I heard in the study. But anyway, so the overnight fasting, that's something that you could try if that's something that will work for you. You just really need to know what could work for you. But definitely fasting is definitely a way to reset that body, detoxify the liver, and give your body a chance to reset. It's just like working on a computer. And we are using a computer and we have all these windows open, and then all of a sudden things are not working right. So it needs a chance to reboot, close out some of those browsers, right? And reset, reboot your system, or shut the computer off and turn it back on, and everything is working fine again. So that's kind of like a comparison of how your body works as well. And let me see if there was another one here that I found. Oh, this one is called Eat, Stop, Eat. So Eat, Stop, Eat. I've never heard of it before. That's just to say, I definitely don't know everything. I know have a lot of information, but I don't know everything. So I'm learning all these new different names of all these different types of fasting that they have. So this was developed, as saying here, by author Brad Pilon in his book, Eat, Stop, Eat, The Shocking Truth That Makes Weight Loss Simple Again. So his approach is saying is that he stresses flexibility. He stresses that fasting is just taking a break from food for a time. Of course, just like what I said. And so let's see, it says eating responsibly, which we all should be eating responsibly, going back to a normal way of eating where you don't binge because you just fasted. So yeah, definitely when you come off your fast, any fasting, you don't want to go right back to eating, the way you were eating before. The purpose of the fast is for whatever your reasons may be, whether it be weight loss, spiritual, mental, or all three. You definitely want to start putting, slowly integrating those foods back into your diet, right? Back into but if these foods, right, and this is what you have to notice, and then you do this with the elimination diet, and you can find information on that too, in the elimination diet. You slowly would take away foods and pay attention to how your body feels when you take away those foods. So let's just say, I'll use a bagel, for example. Let's say you're used to having bagels maybe 2 or 3 times out of the week. Well, start by removing bagels out of your morning routine, right? Removing bagels and coffee out of your morning routine for about a week or so. Or if you must have coffee, maybe try decaf coffee, right? But removing that and replacing it with something lighter. Instead of the coffee, you can have tea. Instead of the bagel, maybe you can have 1 slice of toast, right? 1 slice of toast, preferably maybe rye or spelt. I would say spelt if you can find it. I notice this for me, even going to Whole Foods, it's hard to find the spelt bread. But you can do something like that, a slice of bread rather than the bagel. And pay attention to your energy levels. Pay attention to that. So going back to what I was saying, when you're doing the fasting, you definitely don't want to go back into right away, going back to your same practices. It's slowly introducing those foods back into your diet, and maybe even eliminating some of those foods, right? Eliminating some of those foods by doing the elimination diet. I hate to say the word diet, but the elimination, I'll call it plan, where you slowly introduce those foods and pay attention to how your body feels. Do you feel more tired now that you've added this back into your meal plan, your meal lifestyle? So things like that. And wheat. Now, I enjoy wheat bread, but I know that wheat, you can gain wheat from eating wheat bread. And so things like refined sugars, right? You want to kind of just be mindful, right? And it's not to make things hard or difficult and like, oh, this, that, sometimes people can be overwhelmed with too much information. There's so many different things out there that you learn about diet and healthy lifestyle. But you have to find what it is that works for you in your body. You have to find those things that works for you. So again, for anyone, is avoiding those refined sugars, white bread, white rice. You can have white rice occasionally, right? Once in a while doesn't hurt, but if it's something that you consume a lot of, and then what are your portions? Portion control, right? And so it's about those portions. Maybe instead of 4 scoops of rice, maybe you can drop it down to 2, and just pay attention to those things, right? And so depending on what you eat, what you like to eat, you slowly bring those things back, but eliminating those things that you notice, that you've paid attention to, and you notice, you know what, when I have a bagel, I feel extremely tired. I feel very fatigued, right? And so, instead of having the bagel, you should switch it out to something different. So it's just being mindful and paying attention to those things. And it's really not that complicated. It's not that hard. I noticed for me when I would have a bagel, I haven't had bagels in a while, but when I would have a bagel and eat a bagel, more heavier, more just feeling more tired than usual with that bagel. And it tastes good when you're eating it. I used to love that everything bagel, right? But no more of the everything bagel. So that is gone. And so you just have to really just get to really know your body and find out what works best for you and your body, because everyone is different. Everybody's body is different. Their metabolism is different. So just really get to know and understand your body. Now, I want to look to see if there is another type of fasting listed here that I could talk about. Well, the alternate day fasting, this is basically saying, well, you would basically do alternate days of fasting. So let's see, this approach was popularized by Krista Varady, a nutrition professor at the University of Illinois, Chicago. I'm trying to see what he says here about, okay, fasting is 25% of the calorie needs, so which is about 500 calories, in non-fasting days being normal eating days. So I guess with this is basically you alternate. So today you eat whatever you like, tomorrow you fast on a 500 calorie diet, right? And so this may work. This may work for someone, right? I've never tried it, but this may work for someone. I've tried different things before, but this here I've never done. So this here I've never done. This may work for someone. I don't know. But another thing that I have done was another 3-day fast where I actually lost 5 pounds. And I found this in, I think it was Women's World. This was years ago in Women's World. And it was, I think the first day, I have to try to find it. I don't know where it is, but I think it was the first 2 days, or the first day you had something light in, like you had a shake. It was like a nutritional shake in the morning and at lunch. And then at evening, you had a meal, and it was basically based on portion control of what you would have. And I wish I could find it. Boy, I need to look for it. I don't know where it is, but I have it somewhere because I saved it. But I noticed when I did it, and it was only for 3 days, I lost 5 pounds, right? I lost 5 pounds. And so it was interesting when I did it. It wasn't hard. It wasn't hard because it's not like I was going without food. You know, the fasting, the long periods of fasting for 12 and 14 hours, that's more of a challenge than just having a shake for breakfast, right? Or going the whole day in hot summer months without water. And so especially if you worked in customer service and you were on the phone talking to someone where that's all you do is talk, and your mouth gets dry. You know, I did that. I had to do that. And I didn't think I could really go through. I was like, oh, I don't think I'm going to make it. This is going to be so hard, because I remember when I did customer service, I would be on the phone and I would always have my drink of water. So when I was fasting during that time, I thought it was going to be really difficult, but it really wasn't. It was just for something. It was just all easy. It wasn't as challenging and difficult as I thought it would be. So sometimes I think we just put too much of what we think of what's more difficult than a challenge than it being actually something easy. So again, it's all in your perception of how you view things, right? And so we make things more difficult and complicated than it needs to be. So, okay, so now back to what I was saying, the alternate fasting. Okay, that was another one that they have listed here. And choose your day fasting. Okay, I guess this is 1 day out of the week. Now this one is saying fasting for 16 hours or eat for 8 hours every other day, once a week, twice a week. It sounds kind of similar to the 5-2 to me. So that's what that sounds. That sounds kind of similar to the 5-2. So I won't go much on that one. But there are these various ways of fasting that you can choose and practice. And so when I want to make sure that I covered everything, I went over the benefits of fasting, of what it can do for you, right? And so it can increase your spirituality as well as your discipline, right? And your mindset and understanding and knowing the possibilities of what you can do. And it brings that self-awareness about yourself when you need to self-reflect and bring clarity. Also, being able to lose some weight, right? Weight loss and resetting the body. detoxing the body. So it has benefits for the mind, body, and the spirit, fasting. So take fasting as, I don't want to say take it seriously, but you want to take it seriously, where you're going to commit and do the work. If you're going to fast, right? You want to commit and do the work, and not give up and say, oh, well, I can't do this. I tried it. It's no, you can. If you push yourself, if the doctor told you in order for you to live, you will die within a week if you don't fast, would you do it? Would you do it then? If your doctor said you had 1 week to live, unless you fast for X amount of days, you're going to die. Would you do it? I'm sure many of you will say yes, and many of you will do it. I would say most of you would do it. Most of you would do it. And so when you create that urgency and importance of it, you can do whatever it is you want to do and achieve it. And then when you do it, you feel so good. I mean, while you're going through it, it's hard. It's just like when you're working out, right? And those muscles is burning and you want to give up. And it's like, oh, you're ready to tap out. But the muscles is working and it's burning, and your coach or whatever you're watching on the video, or your coach who's training you, or just yourself, you're pushing yourself to go further. You're pushing yourself to go further. And that's how you have to look at fasting. It's not something that can't be done. It's not achievable. It's difficult. It's too hard. It's only hard when you make it hard. And so let's simplify things and not make it so difficult. Okay, let's not make it so difficult. So what are some of the benefits again? It gives you the three areas of your life: the mental, right? The mental, that willpower and discipline; the physical, right? Losing weight, burning some calories and fat, and possibly gaining some muscles if you're working out, right? And so with that, you definitely want to check with your doctor and know, all of those things if you're going to continue a workout. I don't work out during that time. I just fast. And so because my fast is for 30 days, I don't work out because I'm preserving my energy. So I may take a walk, may do some walking, but I don't do too much, or stretching, but I don't do any hard workouts. All right, so I went over that. So the mental, the physical, as well as the spiritual, and what it does for you spiritually, right? And remembering that time, for those who are of faith and those who are Muslim, and you understand that when we're doing it, of course, is to remember those less fortunate than ourselves, and being grateful. And that's something that anyone can apply, is to remember gratitude, right? And practicing gratitude should be a way of life, being grateful every day of being grateful, and remembering those less fortunate than ourselves. And that's why we can do something to help others. We may not have much to offer. You may not have much to give, but a simple hello, gratitude, smile, thank you, compliment, or some form of charity, and maybe in monetary, we can give to others. So that's what I wanted to cover. I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover today on the benefits of fasting. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And if you're going to fast, choose which one you think is right for you. Now, these two that I found was on Healthline, and the other one was, let's see. The other one was on everydayhealth.com. So you can Google it and see and choose to see which one you like for you, knowing you can, if I was you, I mean, it just depends, try it for a day. That's one way to start. Try it for one day. If you want to do the fast where you consume something early in the morning and then you break your fast with a meal at night, you don't want to go real heavy because you think you're not going to eat, right? In your mind, you're setting this thing on, oh, I gotta overeat. And no, and believe it or not, you will be fine. You may experience a little bit of hunger pains, but it'll go away. It'll go away quickly, and then you're fine. So if you start in the morning, whatever time you choose to start, you want to give yourself like that 8-hour window, 6 to 8 hour window. If you can do more, fine. But if you're just starting out and you never fasted before, that may be a way to start. right? That may be a way to start out by just starting in the morning, having something. And if you want to have water in between and no food, that's fine. Again, it all depends on the individual and knowing what you feel that you can do. But push yourself. Don't take the easy route. Push yourself. Always push yourself towards doing a little bit more. We don't want to make it too easy. Okay, so that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will speak to you next week. Bye for now. Be sure to like, subscribe to this channel, share with friends, share on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all the different platforms. Wherever you are listening to this podcast, please share, please give a rating, and I will speak to you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you so much for listening to Health Coach for Women with your host, Marsha Roopchand-Walker. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to rate, subscribe, and review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate that effort. Until next time.